Holy crap, guys! It's Friday again. Another week gone. Really good week overall. Like to say, I'm in Hungary right now, so unfortunately no JVs this week in Hungary, I will admit. But here for the Formula One, so really looking forward to the next couple of days. I'm a Hamilton fan and Mercedes fan, so fingers crossed that we get a win this weekend. I thought I'd just give a weekly roundup and let you know what's going on or what has happened. Very eventful week, shall I say. First of all, I had a really fantastic day with Mark Stokes and his team, and you know, with Equigroup. They showed us around one of their recent developments. Fantastic what those guys do, and they talk a lot about this, due diligence and how much and how important it is to be able to kind of pass on that information to investors. And you know, one of our jobs as property developers is to make sure that every party has been covered and every aspect of that development, which is very much inclusive of numbers, has been considered upon. And Mark was really touching upon that and give some really good tips with Nigel about how to go into that, into like the bank grade level, things that, you know, the senior finance companies and development companies are going to be looking at. So I really appreciate that. That was a really big help for me in my journey where I am right now. So it was a big thank you to those guys. On top of that, I was also looking at one of the deals that we're doing up in the northeast at the moment, kind of in negotiation stage. Very complex situation, and basically we're hoping to get a sale plus a lease back. And I was there with my mentor, Dan Taylor, very good guy, very commercially mind framed, and I was privileged to kind of sit in with him as he helped along the way, kind of show me how the negotiations go with vendors and clients. And so we had a complicated situation, and basically we have a sale and a lease back, and we're trying to get the best terms on the lease. Now, for those people who might not know, it's tough to amortize or get money back from a lease when you put in, you know, low breaks, so 2-year, 3-year, 5-year breaks. Ideally, you want something like a 10-year, 20-year break situation. So we were really trying to push the vendor to give us better lease situation. Now, unfortunately, that hasn't transpired. They want to give us a 20-year lease, but with 5-year breaks. This causes us some situations when we're trying to raise finance from that lease, but you know, we're confident we can try and work around that. So always try and, you know, especially if you get the opportunity to get a sale with a lease back, make sure you really negotiate hard on those lease terms. And if you want to know more, please, you know, feel free to contact me or Dan Taylor also. What else have I been up to? So a lot of it's been around building relationships. I've been over in Ireland, I've been in Aberdeen, I was up in Northeast as well. And something I got a good reminder of this week was I was speaking to one of the architects who was doing a feasibility study for me. And he kind of put in a passive-aggressive comment about one of the projects that we do, and that I hadn't given any information on, you know, what was the status, what was going on, where were we with the vendor. And it's kind of a good reminder for me, and I wanted to also pass that back to you guys, that always good to keep in contact with your power team. Now, you know, they're working with you, not for you. So it's important, even if you don't have updates, just let them know, hey guys, you know, nothing back, we haven't heard anything, summer holidays are going on, blah de blah de blah. But let them know either way that they're still in the frame, they're still in the picture, those kind of things. So that was a good bit of feedback from myself. On top of that, what else was going on? So yeah, mentorship. Like I said, Dan Taylor, he does a lot of, fortunately for me, he takes a lot of time out. He came down to the northeast all the way from sunny Glasgow, so thank you very much, Dan, for that. And you know, speaking with him, even for a couple of hours, you get a lot of insight. And for those people who might not have a mentor already, I really recommend going out and find someone, surround yourself with those experienced people who can really help you out. I can't say that enough, especially for people starting out or just wanting to increase their knowledge. You know, make sure that you get a good mentor along the way. Finally, good points on top of that. as you know, I'm very much big into the social housing schemes, and with USER, what we're trying to do is, our MTP is making living affordable and enjoyable for everyone. So that's a huge, massive, transformative purpose. Now, eventually, want to go purely social, and in the background, what we're trying to work up is a social housing scheme in Hartlepool, which is where I'm from. And so I was working with the architect to come up with a viable scheme that we can work with the local housing authority with. Hopefully, I'm also on Bishopsgate Developments Mastermind with Andy Hubbard and Pete Craig and Lee, and they're doing fantastic things with modular builds. So I feel that there's some synergy there, hopefully with the modular build, the social housing, local housing authorities in Hartlepool, and there may be a potential JV along the way there. So please stay tuned. As soon as I got more information, I'd love to share that with you. Things that haven't gone so well, what was it? Well, obviously the leasehold situation. They came back and said that they weren't going to give us a 10-year break in the lease. That's something we're going to need to overcome. On top of that, I had my SAS come through. Obviously last week I talked about that a little bit more, but there is a big kind of transition point in between getting the SAS approved by HMRC and then getting your transfer funds in, which are the CETVs. I'm a little bit impatient, as you might have found out if you don't already. And I expect everything to be right now, right here, right now, but it wasn't the case. So I've probably got another couple of weeks, maybe a month or so before the funds are in the bank, and I can actually then deploy them for use of purchasing property. So not great news, but it's okay. Other things, VAs as well. So I have, I don't know if you know or not, but I have 2 VAs that I use, and a lot of people tout that VAs are the kind of silver bullet, the holy panacea of property and management. They are very good, but at the same time, they're not the silver bullet, and there's a lot of management work to go in and around making sure they deliver to the quality that you want, and do exactly what you say. And this week I had to kind of reprimand one of my VAs who basically didn't turn up for the week. Didn't turn up, didn't let me know what was going on. And that's kind of the negative aspect of VAs that a lot of people kind of skirt across. And sometimes, it's not always that rosy picture. So you will, if you do have VAs, make sure that you are managing them. And Asana is a really good tool for that. But also what I would recommend is having a weekly meet. And a weekly meet is something that you should have, regularly. Don't ever stop having your weekly meet, because if they come in, or if something happens, and you aren't able to support them, then that's going to cause you issues further along. So not great news, but hopefully things will improve. What else went wrong? What else? Oh yes, I've got on top of that. So I have a personal portfolio of properties. One of the bad parts of personal property portfolio, sorry, that was a hard one to spit out, is obviously when tenants don't pay you. Now, I've had a tenant now for the last 2-3 months who hasn't paid. Fortunately, I've got a good agent working on my behalf, but when you're not getting that money in, that's cash flow that's hurting you. So unfortunately, that's cash flow that's hurting the business right now. Not great, but I like to kind of share the good points and the bad points. Hopefully that will kind of pick up. I'm very positive with what the agencies are saying, so fingers crossed next week we get some cash in. Apart from that, one useful tip that I did get this week was from my architect, and I'd like to pass it on to you guys. Hopefully it works out for you as well. Commercial conversions, obviously that's a mainstay of USER and Marcel's strategy for property development, and we were looking around one of the commercial buildings, and there was a lot of columns in and around that area, in and around the main areas. It went all the way through. They were stacked right through, and they were very close together. Now, as you know, layout is really important to make sure you can fit units in, and you want to make sure wherever possible you have good separation distance between columns. And what the architect typically says, what my architect typically says is, allow 3 meters as the minimum space. Now it can go to 10 foot, but 3 meters is typically what you want between columns, that's roughly what a unit size can be in terms of width. And they can work around, well, they can work around that 3 metre separation distance between columns. So if you're in a property in future and you come across a lot of columns, just do check that 3 metre or 10 feet rule and then have a chat with your architect. Hopefully you can then sort things out. So that's it, a fairly long one from me. Hopefully it's been useful. Thank you very much for your time. Come on, Lewis Hamilton, Team Mercedes. Have a great weekend, guys, and thank you very much.